Welcome to Withdraw Consent. I'm Jack. This is Victor. So we're going to talk about a weird subject. If you've never heard of this,
Yeah.
did the United States use atomic bombs in World War II?
Right.
And there's this great video, link in the description. It's on BitChute. So if you're on YouTube, there will not be a link in the description because you're not using the right platform. You should be on
Right.
Rumble.
Yes.
And so basically, we're just going to discuss this, and then we encourage you to go watch it below. So tell us the story.
Yeah, this is definitely a summary of his channel's name is Jim Crenshaw. So I'm just going to refer to him as Mr. Crenshaw. I don't know if that's his real name, but that's what he goes by on his channel.
And he's a reposter, if I recall.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because, the video's phenomenal. So if you're interested in this topic, please check out that video because I'm not going into all the detail he does. He has amazing references in the video, screenshots of documents and stuff. It's really good. So I was thinking about this. I feel like this is a newer conspiracy theory in my head in the last couple of years. I've never questioned this in my life. Is it
Me neither. I've never heard anything about this till I seen that video.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so I was trying to figure out. I heard someone else mention it in my social circle, and I went and I just read a document, and I was like, oh yeah, this is completely fake.
Oh, you're the one. Yeah,
I think so. I think
you
it was,
are because you sent me the pictures.
Yeah, the pictures were the evidence.
And then I found this video.
Right.
And then I was like, I
Which
didn't even
goes
believe
deep.
him when he was saying this stuff.
Right, because it sounds
ridiculous.
Of course,
Yeah.
we did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're terrible enough to have done that. Absolutely.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
America.
So this is on a lot of our What Really Happened videos. We give you conclusive proof because people have admitted to things, documents have been unclassified, that type of thing.
Right.
This is more like the 9/11 video. There's a lot of stuff that makes you go, wait, the narrative isn't right. So, but we don't have conclusive proof on this one. Okay, so just letting you know, kind of categorize this properly. So before we get into the actual A-bombs, we got to talk about firebombing. Okay, and what that is and how that works.
Is that where you target just military groups and kill them?
Actually, it's the opposite of that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so these bombs don't work good on military targets because they only work on things that are flammable. So a tank that's made of steel doesn't really start on fire.
What about people?
People burn pretty good.
Okay.
Residential houses burn pretty good.
But we're not talking about military-based people. We're talking about apartment complex people. Right.
Or maybe what if you lived in a country where you live in literally houses made of paper? I feel like those could burn pretty good.
Okay. So we avoided using firebombs, you're saying, because we don't want to kill civilians.
One, we're the good guys.
Okay.
Right. This doesn't even work in industrial areas because you're made of concrete. You've got bigger buildings that need more support, so you've got steel and concrete, and it's not going to even work great in those areas. So these bombs literally exist to attack civilians, all right? And the way it works is they have an explosive nature to them, but they're also filled with, they called it fuel gel. But I'm assuming it's just a sticky substance that just is incredibly flammable, and it gets the fire started, which then lights all the wood and the flammable stuff on fire. And
the paper homes.
Right. And you're just slaughtering civilians or destroying their homes.
Okay.
And we've mentioned a famous firebombing incident from World War II.
Yeah.
And how many people died on that night?
It's disputed, but it's approximately 100,000.
Okay. And that was the Germans bombing who?
Oh, no. That was 1,000 bomber raid allies on Dresden, a non-military target that was flooded with refugees coming from the losing Eastern Front. And it was maximum just ethnic German. Is it genocide? Would you just kill civilians indiscriminately to try to wipe out a race of existence?
It kind of seems like, I mean, it's headed that way.
Yeah, and Stalin, the U.S. did that. The U.S., yeah.
So we're the worst.
With Britain, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this wasn't just a Japanese thing that we're talking about. We were doing this to Germany as well. We being America. Okay.
Yeah.
So in this video, he's going to go into how much we firebombed Japan. And his words are, it's easier to tell you what cities we didn't firebomb than the ones that we did because we fired them that extensively. Just removing giant swaths of civilian housing and...
Can I tell a story?
Yeah, go for it.
I read George Bush's biography,
Okay.
right? And so
W or...
The original one.
Okay, senior?
Senior, yeah. Well, so what is that, W?
HW.
HW, that's what I thought. Yeah. Okay. And I think it was not an autobiography, it's a biography.
Okay.
And in it, he was talking about flying planes over there, And when he got to the firebombing, he just related every city. He's like, so you don't know the names of these cities, but here's the name of the city. And he gives it a Japanese name, which is the size of Chicago at the time. So it's as if 70% of Chicago was destroyed. And then here's the next city. This is like San Diego, 65% of San Diego. And he just goes city to city.
Wow.
So you can understand, because if you hear 75% of Hirohito was destroyed.
Right, that doesn't
I don't even know if that's a city. I don't even know what you're talking about. Is that a county? You know what I mean?
Right.
Interesting.
But if it's a major U.S. city, you're like, oh,
right,
that's serious stuff.
Right.
And you would assume like 70% of Chicago, well, it's not downtown because of the bigger buildings. You know, this is suburbs and all that are just getting...
But the people are.
Right.
Right.
No military, no anything about it.
How many Americans got tried for war crimes at the Nuremberg trials?
Like, I'd probably round it off to 0.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Multiplied by 0? Okay, gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
So when a city is firebombed, it leaves a very specific visual... It's obvious that it was firebombed. So you can look out over the landscape, and you can see there's certain structures that remain standing. And again, it's the concrete...
Oh, interesting. Okay.
The concrete buildings, steel, bridges are hardly affected because they're sturdy, because of all the weight they have to carry and that type of thing. So they're naturally a very strong structure, not going to burn. And then everything else that burns, it ends up leaving the landscape with a pinkish hue to it. And it comes from the ash and rubble is mixing with rusted steel, and it's pink, the ground. So, that's not something that you see all the time. So when you see a firebombed city, oh, I know what that is. It's again, very distinct.
Do you have pictures of this that I could put up in post-production?
Everything that I saw was black and white. So it's
okay.
we're relying on people's firsthand account, of which there are in this video, military people with firsthand knowledge of this.
But I can still put up black and white showing the concrete building?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So if he provides them, I'll have put them up while he was telling this.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
So there's probably 5-6 minutes of a video filmed back in the 40s of someone in the military who knew about firebombing and the effects of it and studied the cities. And so his name is Major Alexander Seversky. He was a pilot and then aerospace engineer. They said statistician, but I don't know how that comes into play for this. But so you're hearing his words describing what these cities look like, and he lists the ones that he viewed and all that. And he was so excited to go see these two that we have this new weapon, and he wants to see what is this devastation going to be like and how effective it is and all that. So we're going to explain the theory behind dropping an A-bomb real quick to you. So you don't drop an A-bomb and it blows up on the ground, because then, if here's ground level, 50% of the energy is just going straight into the ground, and you want to use all that energy.
Oh, I see.
So you ignite it way up in the air.
So it's going to do a radius completely away from it, like 360 degrees, and so you don't want to waste that bottom 180.
And if you're at higher, you can go over hills, and
interesting.
You're getting better distribution. So these bombs that went off supposedly in World War II were they claim went off at just under 2,000 feet in the air, so a significant height. They say that directly beneath ground zero, the part that they were aiming at, they called it it's supposed to be a bald spot, because all of this energy that's coming straight down, it has nowhere else to go, and it just is supposed to just obliterate everything. So this major, when he goes over there, he's looking for the bald spot. And so on one of the cities, they're targeting a certain bridge is ground zero, or like where these two rivers come together. So these pictures, we're literally going to be showing you on the screen right now, ground zero, and you're going to see astonishing things in these photos. Guess what still exists in these photos? Concrete building and bridges.
Interesting.
So in Hiroshima, I'm not sure which one it is, but they had 20 bridges. Only one of them was gone after this.
And these are in the position where the bald spot's supposed to be?
Yes. This is directly overhead, this mushroom cloud, supposedly.
Let me ask you another question. What's the radius on the bald spot, you said?
I don't know that.
Okay. But beyond that, should the bridges, say it's a 2-mile radius beyond that, should the bridges go, or?
Yeah, up to a certain distance. These weren't giant, megaton bombs. I want to say they were 20 kiloton, which is relatively small compared to a modern size, we'll say nuke.
I feel like if their houses are made of paper, they got real bridges, but they can't be reinforced for atomic blasts.
Right. No, but we've been told that everything should be gone.
Okay, that's what I would think.
Yes.
Not 10 miles away, 20 miles away. Then they got fallout and stuff.
Yeah, it's there's different types of damage that go out.
Right.
So one of the things that you'll see in this video is that there's different people have claimed that the government told them to lie about how effective these were. So it could be that everything that we believe we know about what a nuke should do is way exaggerated, and it doesn't even work that good. Maybe.
Are you using nuke and atomic bomb interchangeably?
Yeah, because they're all kind of sort of in the same category. Okay. It's different, like what they're using to explode the inside.
But it's a similar type of explosion, just higher magnitude.
Yeah, you're still splitting an atom, but it's like what the element that's on the inside, I believe, because there's hydrogen is different than, I believe, than an atomic bomb. But I think the principles are somewhat similar.
Okay, I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah. So this major shows up and he goes to these, to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and they look exactly like a firebombing. The buildings are still buildings and bridges, like the concrete buildings. It's got the pink ground. It has, he said the buildings that are only like 4 stories tall, like concrete buildings, and the paint and the railings and the signs were completely undamaged. And these were a few blocks from ground zero. So it should have just been obliterated. Like there were still glass panes. The glass was gone when there was multiple, like the window pane was split up into a bunch of squares. Those were gone, but if it was just one big pane, the glass was fine. Like it was so little damage compared to what we picture.
Right.
We're picturing Terminator and mushroom clouds and just cities being wiped off the face of the earth. And you're not seeing any of that. It's matching what this dude is, he's visited all of these firebomb cities and he knows what it looks like. And he's seeing the same thing. So we went over the bridges. Let's see. Okay, so if all the visual evidence says that this wasn't a nuke, or I'm sorry, we'll say A-bomb, sorry, I keep using the wrong word. But so the next question, which I didn't even think about, is, well, how did they destroy these towns? And like there's no record of us, because at this point now we're sending dozens of planes to these 2 cities to destroy them with firebombs.
And that's tons of witnesses.
Right. So how did that happen? And so most of the second half of this video on the Crenshaw channel is him proving how this worked. It's a theory, because again, there is no evidence that you can point to. But basically what he breaks down is he finds cities that were bombed around the time when the 2 A-bombs were supposedly dropped. And he finds pictures. He's on like Japanese historical sites and that type of thing, and they've got witness accounts of how long the raids were and all that. Basically, he's saying, all right, this attack was produced by 14 bombers. We know, and here's the damage, and here's the square, like the area that was attacked, and here's what the damage looked like. And then he would find an attack that looked very similar near the time of the A-bombs and go, all right, this one took 14 bombers, and this one should have taken 14 bombers, but why was there, let's say, 45 bombers assigned to this? And this city is 35 miles short of one of, like, Hiroshima. So what if they just took the extra 30 bombers, flew them an extra 35 miles, which wouldn't take long on a bomber, flatten the city, rejoin the other ones, and they just fly back?
And would the pilots and stuff be knowing they're doing this?
I'm unsure of that. I feel like, I mean, we've talked about it, that a lot of the stuff was having to do with lights and, that type of thing. They could have just given certain crews different information about your flight time is going to be this, and when you see that city, then you need to drop your ordnance and then come back. It could be that type of thing. But basically, he's able to build a case that says, I've found these attacks. Like one of them, the one that we bombed on the 9th, I forget if it was Hiroshima or Nagasaki, but I mean, he says that one was bombed on the 9th, supposedly the A-bomb, but he's got on the 1st, the 5th, and the 8th that he can say that there's some fishy attacks that had way too many bombers, and we could have been flattening the thing 3 times in the week leading up to it.
Oh, interesting.
That they were just pounding it.
Interesting.
So that can, it's possible that could explain the why. You have a question? Are you good?
It's a question for later, I think.
Okay, gotcha. So where he's getting this information, the Air Force released a 7-volume book set. I mean, it's gigantic. I would say it's a foot long of like old school encyclopedias.
Who released it?
This is the Air Force.
Okay.
So people in the Air Force, and it's basically every. It's called the Army Air Forces in World War II, and it's every attack and how many planes, what the target was, when they went, and it's incredibly thorough. And so he takes these and he's gone through them, and that's how he's finding these numbers about what attacks we actually admit to.
Okay.
And so he's using that again with the historical stuff from Japanese sites, and that's how he's building his case for this. And then towards the end of the video, he has some interesting, like, right before the A-bomb planes left to go do their attacks, they did like a press conference type thing where they were shooting videos of the pilots. The pilots were unsure of what plane they were going to fly, but it was this top secret mission. It didn't seem like they knew what they were going to do. But why is the press there if it's top secret? It reminded me of like how soon when we liberated certain camps in Europe were there film crews there?
Oh, the Jewish Hollywood people.
Yeah, it was very fast, right?
Seemingly right with the soldiers.
Yeah, it seemed like, in my mind, I was thinking of that. This obviously wasn't after the fact, but they knew that they were going to have to build this up after the fact.
So were those press conferences released immediately?
I don't know when they were released.
Okay, I don't know either. Okay.
Yeah. But it's, again, they've got the footage of these interviews is in this video that you're gonna, if you're interested, you go watch. But you put all these pieces of information together, and it all seems very odd. There's no visual evidence. You've got all these extra bombers, and I mean, he says it in the video, but the whole point is to instill fear. You and I talked about this, that leading into World War II, they believed that air power was enough to prevent another world war because it would be so devastating. Come to find out, it didn't end anything. People were fine fighting, in the air and all that, so they needed another deterrent, and this was what they chose. And so that's my case.
And tell them about the Germany part, though, the air power in Germany when they were.
Oh, right. So
this is what they're trying to hide from you.
Yeah. So the reasoning behind why the Allied forces were bombing civilians was they were trying to break the morale of the people.
Right.
And they actually had the opposite effect. They actually banded together and like, nobody does this to us.
And the same thing when Germany was bombing Britain. The same thing, increased morale.
Right. And so the production in Germany increased as we bombed civilians. It didn't go down.
Right.
Month after month, it kept getting more and more because the people were more together and wanting to stop this.
And so mass bombing was ineffectual except for killing civilians.
Right.
And they wanted to convince people we got an even better bomb now.
Right. To kill civilians.
And so I've developed a brand new conspiracy theory while you were talking.
Oh, good.
Literally. Cool. Check this out. So I read a book. And this is the first book that got me interested in World War II. Oh. And it was this, it was just Russian propaganda. It was like 1,000 pages,
Okay.
And I just read the whole thing and I was just so fascinated, And I'm reading it and I'm like, I don't think this book's telling the truth, but I'm fascinated by this book because it's just Russian propaganda.
Sure.
And I realize it. There's some like doctor weird dude in a death camp, and he's like using the ashes to fertilize the cabbage to feed to the people right before he executes them. And I'm like, I don't know if I believe this. So I'm not saying it's a good source, but then I went and read, what did the French have to say about this? What did the Poles have? The Germans, the British, Americans? I want to hear all these different ways. Well, in that book, though, so it's pure propaganda, they say that we dropped the first atomic bomb.
Okay.
And then the emperor, because I believe we had never bombed Kyoto, which is the imperial capital, But he's not necessarily in charge, but he is, you know what I mean? And so then they said, hey, we want unconditional surrender. So after the first bomb, he said, yes, unconditional surrender, right? And we said, okay, well, since you didn't unconditional surrender, so then they immediately went to the Russians and said, hey, they're gonna do this again. You know what I'm saying? And then they did the second atomic bomb. But now I'm thinking about it like this. Here's the hole in your argument that I saw.
Okay.
I saw if they had been bombing whichever one it was, Nagasaki will say, multiple times in advance the previous week, and then afterwards they're like, look, we flattened it. A-bomb, baby, right? Japan would be like, no, right?
Would they?
Why not?
Because they're just going to keep getting bombed unless they capitulate to all the demands.
Right, but I'm saying this. Would it... Because the Japanese are a proud people.
Sure.
And they don't want to lose face.
Okay.
But imagine, how can the emperor say it's okay to unconditionally surrender?
Okay.
If he acquiesces to the atomic bomb idea. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's okay to surrender.
Yeah, because they have this devastating bomb and it's just going to be the end of my people. Well, he could have stuck to the firebomb thing and just kept getting firebombed. Do you know what I'm saying?
And to the end of his people. I mean,
because they live in paper houses. It's kind of rough.
It is, but I'm not sure. Like, if the end result, whether it's via A-bomb or firebombing, is the end of your people, and you know that, do you surrender, even if it's a lie?
Right, but I'm saying my whole your argument was, why didn't they show the world that we were lying? But because it was in their best interest to say, oh, you guys got a new weapon, we're out. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like you do like moon landing and stuff. Why didn't Russia? I don't want to get into that, but why didn't Russia? You know, this not if it was fake. Why didn't Russia point it out? And you can get into that whole thing. But like here's a reason why. I don't even know if this is interesting, but here's a reason why the emperor could justify unconditional surrender.
Oh, it gave him an excuse.
Right. And he's like, hey, I mean, I would stick in the fight, people, but he wants to get out of it anyways.
Oh,
and they're like, we can take the firebombs. He's like, you can't take this new bomb. This new bomb's huge. So I'll go with the U.S. thing. It's an out, right? I'll step down. We'll move in. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. That's interesting.
Because remember, after the war, Japan got a good shake.
Right.
Germany didn't. They had Jewish psychotherapists go in and analyze every single citizen and do more time and just lie to them and say, you know what I mean, march them through places that weren't even death camps and say, look what you've done. They're like, no, look what we've done. You know, in Japan, they were like, you can't have a military. Okay. We'll protect you forever.
Right.
Okay.
Maybe that's the part of the deal for going along with a lie.
Yeah, let's do a trade deal.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't as bad. Now, the casualties were horrendous. I'm not saying that.
Right.
I'm saying the after-war deal. They still got protection today. Right. Unlimited free protection. You know?
Yeah.
Chinese are still furious about what the Japanese did to them in World War II. They're like, we're going to get you. And the U.S. is standing behind them like, we'll give all of our young men to protect Japan.
Right.
Why? They got a great deal is all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyways, just an additional conspiracy theory to throw in there.
I like it. It makes a lot of sense.
So basically, I think this is very interesting.
Yeah.
And I had watched, because I had found this video, but that was like a year or two ago. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it on purpose because I wanted to rehear the story again. I'm going to go watch it immediately after this. I think it sounds great. Hopefully you guys found this interesting. We're basically like, where are you going with this video? Well, we're just trying to explore like propaganda, different stuff. Could you question the A-bombs before you seen this video?
Right.
I didn't. You pitched me some stuff and I said, this is ludicrous. Right. And then I seen this video. I'm like, wow, you know? And so we just want to like, I'm open to challenging anything, you know? Right. If you say Christopher Columbus didn't discover the United States, America.
Convince me. Okay.
What do you got?
Sure.
James Cook didn't. What do you got?
Right.
I think that's where our mind should be at. And again, this one's not definitive.
Right.
This is just, it's a lot of compelling evidence. You make up your own mind. It's not controversial. So it could even make an interesting table conversation. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is not like 9/11. Everybody's like, what do you say, boy? You know?
Yeah, no one's going to, like, you're picking the forbidden side that you're not allowed to talk about in society because no one's thinking about this. So yeah, it's an interesting.
Right. And if this is true, then what would this mean for the entire Cold War? Right. The threat of mutual assured destruction. Okay, that's another video, though. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Click like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.